it's Lisa. For my page today, I have a single 5x7 photo. I had a request to do some layouts that had larger photos, and I already had this one that I knew I wanted to scrap. This page for me is going to be like a title page to a section in our scrapbook for a trip that we were on. The photo was taken kind of in the middle of the trip as we moved from one daughter's house to another daughter's house. I could not have planned the clothing and colors we wore better if I had tried. I didn't match my husband and I up at all that day. He wasn't even really thinking about taking that final shot when I was picking out clothes for us to wear. I was just thinking of comfort, and my stepdaughter happened to put on an orange shirt, and that's a perfect match. And it's also a perfect match for the So Rad collection from Simply Stories. I love Simply Stories papers. They're B-side kind of papers, the ones that don't have all the words on them, that, you know, that cut up. I mean, those are okay too, but what I like are these that are some busier prints and some more simple prints, B-side kind of papers that are just great for my scrapbooking. I think I like Simple Stories because the colors are often things that appeal to me, that I think I'm going to use. And I bought this collection thinking that I might use it for this trip this summer. So I know I want to use these papers. And when I was looking through the collection, you know, there really wasn't any particular embellishment theme that I could think of for the page. We were out here for Dylan to do some kayaking at the last, kind of at the very end of our get together, and I have a separate layout I want to do about that, and a story I want to tell about that. So I'm not going to try to do the boat kind of thing, but I thought these stars were sort of fun, so I designed the sketch around stars for embellishment. You could use, of course, flowers or hearts or anything, you know, purchase embellishments, whatever you wanted to use. I have a couple of chipboard hearts that were still in my stash. I think this is Amy Tangerine, and this was one I got at the dollar store. This is the last one left. So I think we're going to do a couple of these, as well as some of these wooden stars. I'm going to mix some chipboard and some wood. These wonderful little stars were sent to me as a gift from my friend Danny, so I am looking forward to using those on the page. Going to do a little shelf for my photo to rest on, and again I have some chipboard. This is some I bought off of clearance back at Archivers, so you know I've had it a long time, and I still miss them, but I think this will be probably the best one for a place for my photo to sort of rest on, and maybe use some washi and some other trims, and then some misting or some drops around the edge. I may have to get creative though with that, because the paper that's most appealing to me right now for the background is this one. Then again, I'm not sure I like it with photo, because if I did this, putting drops on it would not look good. In fact, a lot of these have a lot of prints. I don't know about doing the drops. We may have to come up with something else. But anyway, I'm going to decide on paper, background paper, and then start maybe cutting some of the other papers in strips so I can use a little bit more of this collection on this page than what the sketch implies. If you wanted to do journaling, there's plenty of room down here to do some journaling, or maybe do this with a smaller photo or two photos. This would be a good 2 4x6s side-by-side page as well.
As I was going through papers, I really thought I would be using one of these for B-side prints. That were really simple. I liked that orange with the photos. But I got to this one, and it has the little droplets look, and sort of a paint look. It has the things on the corner I wanted, and I guess I'd never really considered it because I love that plaid so much, and I hated to kind of use up that sheet. But it was absolutely perfect for what I was doing with this photo. So I went ahead and went with an A-side paper. And I'm going, or I don't know actually whether this one was A-side or B-side, but anyway, I went with the one that I probably wouldn't normally have used. And I'm going kind of playing with the stars here, chipboard stars, pulling the cover off of that one and deciding what colors that I want them to be, and also deciding on papers and on lettering. Now I went through my thickers, and I tried to make sure I had enough letters of whatever I wanted to spell. In this case, it was family time. So I had the ones there in the orange, but time, I just didn't have all the letters that I needed, being those very common letters in the green that I thought would look the best. And then I went to that navy, and in the end, I used some other chipboard letters that I thought would be better. Now, labeling these stars with the color that I wanted to paint them, one was going to be orange, one was going to be green, and so I wouldn't get them mixed up, was a good idea. Labeling them with an ink pen on the top was not a good idea. And I had to end up putting a lot of paint on them, and in fact the orange one I finally ended up using some modeling paste. Did I use modeling paste? Something like, yeah, I think the lighter thickness of modeling paste mixed with orange paint is what I finally put on the orange one, because I put several coats of paint on there. This would have been a really fast page if I hadn't played so much with the chipboard. But you remember back in the summer I had all this chipboard and I wanted to use a lot of it. Well, this was a good layout to use it, and I used a lot this summer, but I still have quite a few things like these borders that I never got around to using this summer. So this was a good page to use them, and I like playing with painting them the different colors and things. It's faster sometimes to use purchased embellishments or to cut something out in the silhouette or punch something out, and I like doing that too. But I think that's one of the great things about this hobby is you can do a whole variety of stuff. And I've always loved messing with chipboard and painting it and maybe stamping it, which we're going to do here in just a moment. Time I painted with some high gloss paint from Martha Stewart. This just happened to be the right color. And here again is one of the stamp sets that I had this summer in my stash that I wanted to be sure to use from Lawn Fawn. And the stamp set works great. The ink I'm using is Stampin' Up's Bashful Blue, and I have never had any luck with this color. I've had it in craft ink, regular ink, markers, everything, and I just can never get a good impression with the Bashful Blue. I have not ordered it in one of their more recent ink pads. But nonetheless, I got some design there on my letters, and I'm taking a little bit of that light green paint and just distressing my chipboard piece. And when I was painting it, I hadn't cut it off yet, but when I cut it off, I just used a marker to kind of finish off the edge. All right, I wanted those larger chipboard letters, and so I like that with Family Time. Since I was using lots of other chipboard, it seemed to make sense to do the letters that way as well. And now I need some circles, and I thought I would punch these, and I would use the scallop punch for the middles of each one, and that kind of gives them a different kind of look. And I'm once again using my Creative Memories cutters because they're just handy. You could do this kind of thing, of course, with a die cutter or the cutting machines. Okay. Now, before I glue everything down, I want to get some cord on there, and it'll be easiest to put on if I do it first. So I kind of have to lay things out to know where I want them to go, and I'm using my little dressmaker's awl, which is just a sharp pointy thing, to mark where I want the little holes to be. And the other day I was browsing the A Cherry on Top site, which now has lots of stuff besides scrapbooking, and they have dressmakers awls. So sometimes they're kind of hard to find, but they just make little holes, and they're graduated in size, so as you keep pressing them into the paper you get a bigger and bigger hole. Okay, and then I'm going to take my twine and run it through my 2 holes that I've made for it, and then tie it off in the back. Sometimes I tie a little bow on the front, but I didn't feel like this particular layout needed the bows. I just didn't think that kind of went with it. And I go ahead and do that with the other colors as well. Okay, and then now we're just sort of assembling, putting it all together here. This paper was had some book print on it rather, and so that made it easy to line things up. And then I used a little bit of the stripe design and that other paper with the little stars and circles. So I didn't end up using a lot of this collection, but it did help define my color scheme and what embellishments that I wanted to use. And then I have up in the corner, this was on the sketch, was having a little bit of washi tape on the corner of the photo. I almost didn't put that on there because I thought I had enough stuff, but I really liked it. And then here's our sketch. And the droplet look was already on the paper, so I didn't have to do that. And just added my stars. And you could put some journaling in that lower left-hand corner if you wanted journaling on your page. So thank you so much for watching today, and I hope you'll check out my blog for other projects.